The right front of the Madrid sweater is the mirror image of the left front with one addition. This means we continue to build on the techniques introduced in the Madrid Sweater Part 2, the back, and Part 3, the left front. These include the turn and roll hem, curving the hemline, the side neckline, underarm, and shoulder shaping, knitting the band and facing, including the back neck extension. Since you are already familiar with these techniques, they will only be discussed in the context of reversing the shaping to mirror the left front. On the right front, we introduce how to create buttonhole openings using waste yarn so the button band and facing now become the buttonhole band and facing. The real challenge on the right front is keeping track of all the starts and stops for each shaping sequence and to remember to knit the buttonholes on the right rows. But I did figure out a way to add the buttonholes later after the fact should you get all or part of the way through and realize you forgot them. But that's a different video. Links to the companion pattern and the referenced videos can be found in the video description below. Let's begin. For the size small, pull a total of 65 needles to hold position with 33 left of 0 and 32 right of 0. For the right front, the main section will be worked over the 48 rightmost needles, and the buttonholes band and facing will be worked over the leftmost 17 needles. By pulling out all the needles at this point, we are simply centering the knitting on the needle bed. But for now, push the 17 needles for the band and facing to out of work. Now, starting on the left, E-wrap across the 48 needles of the main section. I use my needle stopper to stabilize the needles so the E-wrap stitches are consistently even, but if you don't have one, just wrap the stitches loosely. Set the carriage to main tension, which is 6.2 in this case, and knit in both directions, and knit 7 rows for the turn and roll hem. Turn the work using either waste yarn or your garter bar. I'm using my garter bar to turn the work. Hang the E-wrapped cast-on edge onto the needles, and if using the garter bar as I did, take a free pass to return the carriage to the right and pick up the main color. Increase the tension to main tension +1 and knit 1 row to the left to close the hem. Reset the row counter to 0 and the tension to the main tension. For the right front, leave the carriage on the left so you can begin the band and facing. For the right front, the buttonhole band and facing are worked on the left side of the main section. Bring the 17 needles that we pushed out of work to the hold position. Just like you did on the left front, pull down the 14-inch loop, but this time E-wrap these needles from right to left. Because the band and facing need to build depth to match the depth of the turn and roll hem, push the 17 needles to upper work position and the 48 needles of the main section to hold. Counting from the left, mark the 9th and 17th needle of the band and facing. Set the carriage to hold in both directions. Just like on the left front, we want all the stitches on the facing to knit when the carriage moves from the left to the right and tuck when the carriage moves from the right to the left. So as we're set up, the facing needles will knit on this row. Knit 1 row. Bring the marked needles to hold position so they will tuck going to the left. Knit 1 row. And everything knit except for these 2 stitches. Push the marked needles back into upper work position so they will knit going to the right and knit 1 row. So, that's my 3rd row. On the 4th row, pull the marked stitches to hold and knit 1 more row to the left. On the 5th row, we're going to be joining these up, but at the same time, we're going to be curving the hem on the main section. And because this is a right front, the deepest part of the hem will be next to the button band needles. For the right front, the carriage must be on the left when bringing needles out to hold. Bring the leftmost 14 needles of the main section to upper work position. These are the needles closest to the seaming column. Then bring the two marked needles to upper work position so they also knit when going to the right. Knit one row. Wrap the needle in hold closest to the working needles. Here's how. I'm going to retract this needle just far enough to close the latch, and the yarn will pop under it. See that? And bring it out. Then move the marked needles to hold position and knit back to the left. Repeat these last 2 rows 3 times more, referring to the companion pattern for the specific counts for your size. Knit back. When all the needles are in work, if your carriage allows, reset it to hold on the left and knit on the right. If you only have one hold lever, you will continue to move the marked needles to hold going to the left and upper work position when going to the right. Knit in this manner until row counter is 18, where the side shaping begins. The side shaping for the right front is worked on the right edge every 6th row 8 times for size small. Make sure you do it the same way you chose for the left front and back. In other words, if you did the shaping near the edge, move the stitch on the 3rd needle to the 2nd needle from the edge, then bring both stitches inward to fill the empty needle. And make sure to take the empty needle on the edge out of work. If you did the decreases 10 or 20 stitches from the edge, be consistent and move the edge 10 or 20 stitches inward. Now that you are speedily knitting along and doing the side shaping, don't forget the buttonholes. The first sneaks up on you quite quickly. For size small, they are placed on rows 36, 60, and 84. Refer to the companion pattern for the other sizes. For more detail, check out the video tutorial How to Machine Knit the Faced Buttonhole. But here's a quick review. On row 36, we must do both a side decrease and place the buttonholes on the band and facing. Now that's the decrease, but we also have to do the buttonhole. Take about a 15-inch piece of scrap yarn. So you already know that this needle and this needle need to come out to hold. But we're going to find the center 3 stitches on this side. So from the center needle, the folding column, skip 2 and then pull out the next 3. And then knit them off with a scrap piece of yarn. Now I have a long piece of yarn because I also have to knit off these 2. So from the folding column, skip 2, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to leave a long loop in the middle, and I'm going to knit these off. There we go. So we're all ready, except these have to come out to hold. Now, one other thing that I am going to do is I'm going to take this nice little clip, pull those together like so, and I just twist them a little bit and put the clip on them. That will give them support while I knit the next few rows. I've already done my decrease over here. I've got these out to hold, and I've made my buttonholes. So I'm just going to continue to knit and shape until I get to my next buttonhole row. And we're on row 60. While it is best practice to knit the buttonholes with the waste yarn as you knit the right front, should you forget and knit past one or all of them, I have another video tutorial, how to add the forgotten buttonhole. And how do I know that? Well, let's just say even the experienced goof up. So that's my last decrease over here, and that is on row 66. I just have to worry about getting to row 84, which is my last buttonhole. So I'm now at 84. So I do my last buttonhole. I bring these 2 guys out, count off 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and I'm set to knit this one and this one. Move my little button up, and I'm done. Now I just knit until row 88, but I still maintained I'm still maintaining these two. And now I'm at row 88. Now on row 88, I begin decreasing at my neckline. Here's a quick review. In the main section, move the stitch on the second needle closest to the seaming column to the needle closest to the seaming column. Move all the stitches left of the empty needle inward one needle to close the gap. If any of the needles were moved to hold while doing the transfer, push them back to upper work position. Since the seaming and folding columns are moving as the neckline is shaped, use them as a guide and return the corresponding needles to hold to maintain the columns. Make sure the empty needle on the left edge is moved to out of work. The neckline decrease is worked every fourth row 12 times. Since there is a lot going on over the next few rows, as I make the decreases, I calculate the row on which the next decrease occurs. In this case, that will be on row 92. This practice keeps me from missing a critical step in the pattern. For more detail, refer to How to Knit the Left Front. On row 94, we start the underarm shaping. Since this shaping is done on the right edge, the carriage also must be on the right. This positions the yarn correctly to bind off 4 stitches. The underarm shaping is done exactly the same way as shown in part 2, the back. To bind off 1 stitch, move the stitch on the second needle to the edge. Knit it off. Then transfer this stitch in 1 needle to fill the empty needle. Take the edge needle out of work. You'll repeat this 4 times. You will often find a little gap between the bind-offs and the knitting. Pick up the purl bump from the inside stitch and hang it on the last bound-off stitch to close the gap. Now that the 4 decreases on the side are completed, knit 2 more rows to return to the right edge to continue the underarm shaping. The remaining decreases are all single stitch decreases. Work them by moving the 3rd stitch outward, then moving the 2 edge stitches inward to fill the gap. Make sure to take the empty needle out of work. Refer to the pattern for the specific frequency of the decreases, as it varies based on the size you are making. When the underarm shaping is finished, you will still be shaping the neckline and maintaining the seaming and folding columns. When the neckline shaping is complete, continue to knit, still maintaining the columns until the shoulder shaping begins. For this size, that is row 141. The carriage will be on the left because the shoulder shaping for the right front is done on the side opposite the carriage. Set the carriage to hold in both directions. On the right edge, bring 5 needles to hold position. Then I'm going to knit back. I like to set my needles first, so now over here I'm going to wrap the end held needle and then move these 2 out to the hold position so I can continue my columns and knit 1 row back. Once I'm on the opposite side, I'm going to bring out 5 more needles here, bring these to upper work so I have 2 sequences over here out and knit back. On this edge, I'm going to wrap the end held needle right here, and I'm going to bring these out to hold and knit back. Now I'm going to move those back to upper work position so they'll knit going this way, and bring the next 5 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knit back. Wrap this end held needle, bring these out to the hold position and knit back. On this side, I'm going to bring the remaining 4 needles out. I'm going to push these 2 back. Those are my turning and folding. This is my turning and this is my folding columns, and I'm going to knit back. All right, now I'm going to bring out the turning and folding columns. These are all in hold, but because this will act just like a wrap, so I am going to just knit back. Now, this is where it gets really kind of fun. I'm going to bring these back to upper work position so they knit on the next row. My turning columns. These are all in hold. Now, I'm going to wrap this end held needle, but I'm also going to return this needle to hold position and this needle to hold position and knit back. Now, on the next row, I want all of these to knit. So I'm just going to move these back into upper work position. And I'm going to move this one back, and that one's already back. So now I'm going to knit, and everything will knit on this row. Okay, so that just closed up all those wrap stitches over on the shoulder. Now I'm going to continue this column. Whoops, that's the wrong one. There you go. I'm going to continue this column and knit one row back. So that just put a second row to solidify that shoulder. Now, on this end, we're going to move all of the band stitches, all 17 of the band stitches to hold, and we're going to unthread our yarn. So I'm going to pick up waste yarn. These are still in hold, so that's fine, just leave those in hold. I'm just going to knit over my shoulder to take it off on waste yarn. So, just about 7 or 8 rows. I'm going to trim my yarn on this side. I'm going to do my little trick and put that up there so it doesn't pop up. And I'm going to knit back so that I end on the left. But what happened, that dropped all these off. Now I can take these needles out of work. And I'm going to continue to work on my facing now. So when I come back, I want to knit all these. So I can switch it back so that it's knitting when it's going this direction in all these. If you don't have that option, then you do need to push these into upper work position. So now we're just down to our button band and facing. So I'm going to thread up with my main color because it's already on the left. I'm going to set my carriage to knit going this direction, so everything that's going this way, and it's staying in hold on the left because I'm still going to be following and creating my column. So when I come back, I want them all to knit, and since it's in knit, they will knit. So that's row 1. It's probably a good idea to reset the row counter. So we're going to be doing a total of 18 rows, and that was 1 row. So I just set it back to 1. When we go this direction, I'm going to pull out my folding column, but I am not going to pull out my seaming column because it's not such a good idea to tuck on the edge. So we don't need to. All I have to worry about is that one now. So 1, 2, that's 3 now. And we're going to go back 1 more just so that we end with a fully knit row. What we're going to do is we're going to leave ourselves 3 to 4 widths of the needles that are active, just so I have enough to do seaming later. So I can cut my main color, but I want to thread up with my waist knitting. And now I'm just going to knit several rows. Cut this yarn and drop the knitting off the machine. The right front is complete. Thank you for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of upcoming videos and events. Happy machine knitting!